Shop Chat! Shop Chat!
Well, this fall, the Sweet Adelines International will be hosting their 72nd International Contest in St. Louis. And one of the favorites going into the quartet contest happens to be our very special guest today. In the spring, these ladies posted an amazing qualifying score of 715 points, the highest regional score of all time. So we're very delighted to have the fabulous and glamorous musicians of Viva with us today here on Shop Chat. Ladies, let's hear a little tune.
Somewhere there's hair music, that's where you are. Somewhere there's music, how near, how far. The darkest night would shine if you would come to me soon. Come soon, until you will still my heart. How high the moon, how high the moon. How high the moon, high.
Pretty high.
Yes.
Well, ladies, so the first question I have for you today, is it absolutely essential to pronounce the exclamation point in name Viva? Because I'm going to be yelling a lot today.
It's a soft exclamation.
Okay, very good. Well, I thought the best way for us to begin is to give you guys a chance just to let the audience know a little bit about you personally. So, Gina, the lead, tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got hooked on barbershop.
I'm originally from Northwest Indiana, Hobart, Indiana, and I am what they call a barbershop brat, meaning my parents were involved in barbershop before I was even born, so I was kind of raised in it my whole life. We didn't go on vacation, we went to conventions. So, and mostly on the men's, in the men's society, for the most part. My dad was very active in starting on other chapters. He was in a comedy quartet for a really long time that traveled all over the place. So, definitely raised in barbershop, and I don't know anything else. So
Gotcha.
It's pretty much part of my DNA.
I think we my first chapter was the Valparaiso
Yeah.
Masters of Harmony.
That was
Not to
my
be
dad.
confused.
Yeah, my dad was one of the founding members of that one.
Awesome. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. And Patty, I think a lot of people are going to want to know, are the Baker girls in this quartet actually related to each other?
We are not related, although we do look a lot alike, you know. That Italian, you know, Northern European thing going on. No, but we have both been married to men named Jeff Baker.
Gotcha.
Consequently, we came by that Baker name very proudly through our marriages.
Very good.
But not related at all, although we are sisters at heart.
Well, that's great. And how did you get started in barbershop?
I got started through a coworker. I was working for NASA at the time, and there was a gentleman by the name of Lloyd Erickson in Houston, where I lived at the time, who I worked with, a long-time barbershopper. I think it was the replacement tenor in the 76 champs, the Insiders, men's champs, the Insiders. He had a Christmas party at his home one year, invited all of his coworkers, and I just happened to mention, as we sat around the piano singing Christmas carols, I said, I just love to harmonize. And his head just practically whipped off of his neck, and he said, have I got a hobby for you? And it took him about 4 months to convince me to go down to the local Sweet Adelines chapter, but I did, and I was hooked for life.
Well, that's great. Now, did you sing in school? Did you study music in school?
I didn't study it, but I sang. I started taking voice lessons when I was 8, and sang all through high school and choir, but I didn't pursue a music degree. I was one of those ill-informed people that you can't make a living at teaching, and so I went into government, weird stuff like that, which is why I ended up working for NASA. But as soon as I got out of college, I started taking voice lessons again. I've been doing it my whole life. Love the study of the voice. Love understanding singing.
And you were doing that even before you were actually singing Sweet Adelines.
Even before I was singing. In fact, I sang with the Houston Symphony Chorale for a while before I joined Sweet Adelines. And unfortunately, they rehearsed on the same night of the week. And I had to make a choice. And I just decided that Sweet Adelines would let you qualify through learning through listening to an audio tape as opposed to sight reading. They didn't have sight reading tests.
Gotcha.
And I was never a strong sight reader at that time. And so I said, Sweet Adelines it is.
Now, so I'm interested in the difference between choral music and then barbershop music. But the reason that you really gravitated to Sweet Adelines, was it more just the fact of the culture of it, or was it actually the sound of it too?
It was both. It was both. And I have to say, when the first night I walked into a Sweet Adeline rehearsal and sat there, I listened to it, and I was just coming from the chorale experience of singing with mixed voices and the classical style. It took me by surprise. I was like, what is this thing?
Right.
You know, what is this music that they are singing? And I wasn't even sure I really liked it at first.
Right.
But I will say the same thing that so many Sweet Adelines say.
I know the story.
Yes, that you come in, the people were so welcoming and they were so nice to me, and they were just like, they just enveloped me with their friendship from the moment I walked in the door. Want you to come back, we'd love you. And I didn't have sisters, I grew up with just brothers. So it was an immediate sisterhood, and I felt that from the very beginning. And I thought, I'm gonna call my friend who I sang with in high school, all throughout high school, and see if she wants to come. She came, and we both ended up joining. And it truly is, you come for the music, but you truly do stay for the friendships and the family that you create. And it happened on that very first night for me.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I didn't have the same feelings with the chorale. The chorale was much more formal. It was fun, and people were nice, but it didn't feel the same family.
Sure, and I think it is interesting sometimes just that the style of music almost sometimes can dictate the broader non-musical culture.
Yes.
And not that one is right or wrong or good or bad, but they're different and it hits people different ways.
Right.
So. All right, so now Chris, Gina, and Patty have both talked about influential family members who sing barbershop. Do you have any relatives who sing barbershop?
I might have a famous brother.
Oh, okay,
possibly.
Great. Well,
actually, I'm more fondly known as Tony's sister. So thank you for calling me Chris.
Well, listen, here at Shop Chat, Tony will be known as Chris's brother.
Oh,
yeah.
And Joseph's dad.
That's right. So now tell us, how did you get involved in singing barbershop?
I was kind of like Gina. My family, both of my parents were involved. My mom started in Sweet Adelines. Dad directed the Sweet Adeline Chorus and the men's chapter. So Tony joined when he was 7, and they were both already, it's pretty much all I ever remember was that. Dad directed, other chapters as well. My mom was Harmony Inc. Queen of Harmony in 1979. So, and then obviously, Tony started his career in barbershop before I did. I didn't start till I was 19.
Right.
So, I was a little bit behind.
Sure. But it was definitely a family
But
affair.
I'm way more fun.
Right, sure. Well, no question about that. All right, so now, Peggy, I'm really curious. A lot of people remember you, of course, because it hasn't been that long ago, the base of the 2016 Sweet Adeline Champions, Speed of Sound. So I'm really curious, what is it about jumping back into what can, for a lot of people at least, be a sort of a stressful enterprise in competing again? What kind of got you interested in just jumping right back in there?
Well, I grew up around the Bronze Tones, who were the 1971 Queens of Harmony. My mom was in the chorus. Betty Meinholz was their director. My dad was a barbershopper, won Dixie District in 1960. I don't remember. So it's been part of my whole life, and I've had the dream of being a Queen of Harmony my whole life. So I was blessed with 3 other people that were able to work and learn with me and make that achievement a reality. And so, I mean, I'll be forever blessed to have those people in my life and the right family. Love them like family. They're wonderful people. So I was always a person that said, if I was ever able to achieve that, I would have one crown. That's,
Right.
I'm a one crown girl.
Right.
But I saw Gina Baker
Oh gosh.
last summer out of a fluky thing at IES, and we just both happened to be there, and they were having a bass that was, making life changes. And Gina texted me and said, "How would you feel about this?" And I said, let me talk to my husband. And that's what I did. So what makes me do it, what made me want to put that kind of work and that kind of dedication and heart and commitment into a long distance quartet again is the love of the music.
Mm-hmm.
And the love of the people, and the people that want to go on the journey, that you can't replace that.
Sure.
The love that you have with each other, and learning and growing and stretching together. There's nothing like it in life, other than the birth of my son. Going through that journey, the crown is representative of the journey of growth that you go through with 3 other people.
Sure.
So to me, that's not replaceable. And she asked, and I said yes.
So now, Chris, you've sung a lot on the international stage. I remember you more as a lead singer, and now you're sliding in those baritone notes. So I'm really curious, for somebody changing voice parts like that, what have you found to be the things that you've enjoyed the most about singing baritone, and also what have been the things that you've juggled a little bit more?
Well, it's really nice not being the lead.
Why is that?
Well, I think that more of the responsibility falls on you. And I did that for a long time with Crystal Clear, and we were perennial, top 10 for many years.
Right.
And Gina says too, from our CD, it's funny because our voices sound so similar, because I'm probably telling my age a little bit, but she, listened to us a lot, so our voices are so
When
similar.
she was in high school, she was one of the biggest Crystal Clear fans.
I was when I was just a child.
She's like 3 years younger than me. But for me,
But it was one of those Crystal Clear CD was one of those CDs that you go like a keepsake CD. It's like on repeat. The key of the next song. Exactly
Right.
what's and that was one of those CDs for me, the Crystal Clear CD, and I wanted to be just like her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe not.
let's sing like me. Let's
Yeah.
So for me, Leanne Hazlitt asked, one Men's International, we used to stand around and just sing like 2 or 3 songs every year, and then she was like, let's try this.
Yeah.
So we were doing that too, flying across the country with Journey, and we were 5th in our first competition and 2nd. And then life circumstances, we ended up, being 2nd and stopping. And I guess for a lot of people, that might have been the end. And I really thought probably it was. I wasn't like them. I didn't, because Tony's won international, I have a different perspective on international champions than maybe some do. They're just normal people. Like everybody, they have normal lives. So do the men. And I think that sometimes, they get put on, not a pedestal, but, like they're different. They're not. They're the same. Their drive is different maybe, what they are willing to do and give. Mm-hmm. And I had kind of given up on that. I was like, let me go sing with my kid, and I did. I sang with Kylie in regional competition.
Right.
I would have done that. I would like, hey, let's grab 3 more people. So I'd kind of given up. I'd been a member for 30 years and not given up on the dream, but just I wasn't sure that was going to happen for me. And that was okay, because I didn't want it just to win. That's it's not my end game.
Right.
And so when this opportunity came along, this changed everything, because I don't think I wouldn't want it unless I could have it like this.
Sure.
With my true lifelong dear friends that I want to create something different with.
Now, as the baritone,
You're gonna make me cry.
I know. As the baritone, you are not like the constant focus of the melody line, like the leader. Now, you guys are a long distance quartet. Chris, you and Gina live here in Florida. Peggy, you live in North Carolina.
Yes.
Patty, you live in Houston. So, how do you guys rehearse?
We usually rehearse about once a month, and most of the time it's at my house here in Florida. And
Viva Boot Camp.
Yeah.
She's not kidding.
Yeah, and they fly in, and we meet, and it starts like, it feels like a boot camp. It's nonstop the whole time, from start to finish when they leave for the back home for the airport.
But in addition, just to like getting together, obviously when you're doing that, the scheduling has to be a little bit more intense than maybe for just a local quartet that can say, hey, let's get together tomorrow night.
Definitely long range.
How do you all kind of manage that?
Yeah, long range planning is essential, as well as conference calls in between, and managing logistics during other chats and stuff. So when you are together, it's all about the music and learning and moving forward from the last time and so forth.
Sure. So now, Gina, you are a postmaster general. Can you explain to us what actually goes into making a good post?
Lots of practice. Actually, people ask me, that's probably the number one question that people ask me personally. And I usually laugh it off as like a stupid human trick. Everyone has one.
Right.
Some people can play their nose. I can hold a note for a really long time. Something like that. But actually, I would actually sing along with your brother, and I always since I was younger, and I've always felt like if I can hold it as long as him,
right,
then so you just keep building it up and learning different techniques and training yourself and conditioning your body and your how you take your breaths and stuff and how you control it. It gets easier as you keep doing it.
I'll just tell you, as a fan, what I enjoy the most is a lot of times, seems like in VHS, when our guys post, they go into zombie mode.
Yeah.
And they freeze, and
Yeah.
you just still perform. I don't know how you do it, honestly, but you still just perform while you're even holding the post.
Well, there's a little mental part of that too, because I feel like if I just get locked up into what that note is, I tend to actually not hold it as well, or like feeling I'm going to run out of breath faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I keep my mind off of it and keep it, if you watch a video of me, you'll see me move my head or something like that,
Right.
and that's like trying to just keeping it loosened up
Keep the
and
mechanism
keeping
free.
it moving. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so one last question for all of you. On the plus side, you scored 715 points.
Yeah.
Highest regional score of all time.
I know.
What just happened?
On the negative side,
You scored 715 points.
Yeah.
so what are you guys doing to sort of manage the expectations?
I
going
think
into the
that
contest?
right away we were in shock for a really long time, and
Yes.
I still don't believe that we ever really attached ourselves to that number. We don't define ourselves by that number. We really went out to have fun and enjoy our time and with the audience, and it just came across that way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of our whole goal of our existence. So and we did that, and that was rewarded in that way, and that was wonderful. And then I think on the other hand, I think it's great for the society. I think it's about time. I didn't ever think it would be us, but I think it's great to have that out there for somebody else to try and beat.
Yeah. Well,
It will happen. It will happen.
Yeah,
And we just keep getting better all the time.
sure.
But we all go back to zero when we get to St. Louis. So
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter.
No.
That's exactly right. Well, that's really for all the psychology that goes into this, that's just the simple reality.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now, if people want to follow Viva,
Yeah, that's so well done.
how do they follow you guys?
We have several avenues. We have a website, vivaquartet.com. We're also on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, and that's Viva Quartet. And then we're also on Instagram as Viva Quartet.
Okay, great. Now, ladies, we have a special Shop Chat stinger tag,
Yeah.
and we'd like for you all to close us out with this episode of Shop Chat with our little Shop Chat tag.
Okay. Shop
Well, ladies, I know that times when you all are actually all together are precious times for you, and taking the time out to be with us today really means a lot. So thank you so very much for joining
Thank you
us
for having
on
us.
this exciting episode of Shop Chat.